Okay guys, now it is time to create a new Premiere project. So what we're going to do is just open Premiere. What we did in the last video, as a quick recap, was just talk about file organization and renaming those files. Now we're going to import those files into a new Premiere project. Great, you'll see this start page open up. Let's just hit new project and let's title it, for your purposes, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. For this project, since I'm working on a different project, I'm going to name it differently. Great. And then let's notice location here. Always hit browse and then select the project files folder that we had just created. Great. So for my purposes, I'm going to my own project files folder to set the destination for our Premiere project. Don't need to mess with anything else, just hit OK. This menu won't happen for you. I just did a practice video and that's why this window popped up. I'm going to hit yes. Okay, wonderful. So now this is the default workspace that Premiere opens with. You'll see in this top menu up here a variety of workspaces. All this is a different way to organize all the information and windows in Premiere. I find that the most helpful workspace for our purposes is the editing workspace right here. The main windows that we need to pay attention to is source. This is where we're going to just watch our footage before we throw it into a timeline. Effect controls, that's how we're going to edit all of our effects that we throw on our clips. And then program is where we're going to see what's happening in our timeline down here. Here is our timeline. Here is where all of our tools live for editing. And project is where all of our imported media lives. It's just a kind of like a finder for Mac. This is just how we find things within the Premiere project itself. We have lots of other windows here. What I'm going to do, just watch how I remove some of these windows and then reorganize the workspace. Okay, history's good. Markers. Just going to close that panel. We don't need that panel. Effects, we want effects. Info, we can close that one. Libraries, close that one. Media browsers, close. Wonderful. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is set this window adjacent to the source window. And then I'm going to drag this up and set them in this order. Alright, let's go to this window. Metadata, don't need it. Autoclip, yes. Effect, source, yes. Wonderful. Okay, now we've got our custom workspace built here. What I'm going to do is go to workspace, then save as a new workspace. I'm just going to title this Jono's Workspace. Great, and now you'll see this is a new workspace saved at the top of my Premiere file. Wonderful. Okay, now what we're going to do is import. But before we import, we need to create a file structure for all of our files to remain organized just as they are on our computer. So you can hit the new bin button here. Our first bin is just going to be titled raw footage. Our second bin is going to be titled graphics. And our third bin is going to be titled edit. Within raw footage, we're going to create a sub bin called audio and a second sub bin called video. It's really important that you keep the 1 in front of all these bins so that when we organize them by name, everything is easy to find and follows the same system. Real quick, raw footage is where, just as in our computer, all of our raw footage lives. It's going to be where all the live signals or the live files are at, and video is going to be where all of our videos live. Graphics, if we do use graphics like transitions and light leaks and things, that's where those graphics will live. Also, if we use a logo for our videos, that's where we should locate the logo. And then edit is where all of our sequences that we create are going to live. All right, I think we're ready to import. So within raw footage, I'm just going to select the audio folder, right click, import, locate our audio. And I'm going to Command A, select all of our audio, hit import. What you'll see down here is that Premiere is generating peak files for all these audio clips. It's really critical that you allow Premiere to create all these peak files before you throw things into a timeline and start to edit them. Premiere needs time to think about everything that we're adding to the project. Okay, while that's going, we're going to go to video and import our video through the same process. All right, and then for my project, I have a ton of files, so it's going to take me a little bit longer than you guys. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Wonderful. So all of our peak files have been generated for our audio and our video. The next thing to do is just play the files, make sure they match what we have loaded onto our computer.
1, 2, check, check, check.
That sounds good to me. Make sure that all the names are the exact same as they were when we imported. Same thing with video. Cool, looks like everything's there. Something important to note about our windows here, within source, we have a set of buttons at the bottom of our source window. These are just helpful tools to scrub quickly across the video file. Step back 1 frame, step forward 1 frame, and so on. An important button to always add that I love is the loop button here. Just going to hit OK. If I drag it, there we go. Now I can see my loop button. Simply click it to toggle that function on and off. I find that really helpful when you need to locate a certain clip within a file. So say I mark my in, I mark my out, and I just hit spacebar to play this in and out selection. The loop feature is just going to loop that continuously for me to find where I want to place my cut. Okay, wonderful. Another thing to note is if you go and hover in between any of these windows here, you can drag them to expand them and contract them. Premiere is totally customizable that way. All right. Effects real quick. I've created a favorites folder for my favorite effects to just quickly find effects I use really regularly. I find that's really helpful. And then history, right here is we're just going to see all the edits that we've done. If for whatever reason you've made a mistake, you can always go back to the action that you were at before and continue editing from that point on forward. Okay, that's all for this video. In the next video, we'll talk about how to create the multicam sequence.